Man, listen. We've talked about this, Earl. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. He possesses every ounce of skill and natural ability you could ask for. The arm talent, the field vision, the composure, it's all there. And beyond that, he has the leadership DNA you need in a franchise quarterback. The NFL wasn't ready for this. A rookie quarterback, barely 7 practices into his first professional training camp, steps onto the field and begins dismantling defensive schemes like he's been orchestrating offenses for a decade. He's diagnosing coverages before the snap, dissecting blitzes mid-play, and carving up defensive backs who were brought in to humble him. But here's the twist. Shedeur Sanders wasn't even supposed to be in this position. He's not the starter. He's not even officially the backup. Yet in a single week, he's forced his way into the conversation and made NFL veterans and analysts stop and wonder, is this kid breaking the code? He's already accomplished things that Pro Bowlers and even Super Bowl quarterbacks haven't touched at this level. I had Shedeur ranked as my 20th overall prospect, a clear first-round caliber talent. In my eyes, both he and his peers have a decisive advantage over Kenny Pickett. For Pickett to hold his spot, he has to be light years better. When Shedeur signed his rookie deal with the Cleveland Browns, it barely registered on the national radar. 4 years, standard slotted salary, no headline-grabbing bonuses. Just another mid-round quarterback contract on paper. But behind the scenes, it was more than dollars and cents. The structure of the deal revealed something deeper. The Browns were hedging their bets, keeping doors wide open. Hidden in the fine print were performance triggers, incentives that could skyrocket Shedeur's earnings if he saw meaningful snaps early. That's not standard for a so-called developmental quarterback. It raised a question. Did the Browns already suspect he might force their hand sooner than expected? To those who followed him, this wasn't shocking. Shedeur has been a proven elevator of every team he's joined. Some insiders saw those incentives as a quiet nod to his upside, even if the team wasn't ready to admit it publicly. Others viewed it as a chess move in case their quarterback room imploded. Either way, the contract wasn't just a formality, it was a signal. And over the coming weeks, Shedeur made it look like the Browns front office knew something the rest of the league didn't. Day 7 of training camp wasn't supposed to be a career-defining moment. At least not for Sanders. The plan was simple. Give him a few second-team reps, let him ease in, and gradually increase the workload. But football laughs at plans. That morning, Cleveland's first-team defense, one of the most ferocious units in the league, lined up across from him. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, all staring down a rookie yet to take a preseason snap. Trial by fire. Most young quarterbacks crumble there. They hold the ball too long, force desperation throws, or fold under the pass rush. Shedeur didn't flinch. He started slicing apart the defense with rapid reads, precise timing, and surgical accuracy. By the end of the session, he'd stacked multiple drives without the rookie mistakes coaches expect. What they saw wasn't just promise, it was poise. Suddenly, those just-in-case contract clauses didn't feel hypothetical anymore. The whispers started immediately. In the NFL, word travels fast, especially when a rookie disrupts the daily flow. After that practice, a few Browns veterans on defense were caught grinning, shaking their heads. Myles Garrett reportedly told a teammate, "He's not supposed to read that coverage yet. That's not shade, that's respect." Even the offensive dynamic shifted. Receivers who came to camp focused solely on the starters began staying after practice to catch extra balls from Shedeur. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. By the next practice, Sanders wasn't just working with the second team. He was mixing in with first-team receivers against the starting defense. A quiet but telling experiment to see if Day 7 was a fluke or the start of something monumental. And let's not overlook the off-field reality. Shedeur is a brand unto himself. A fifth-round pick who's already generated over $300 million in merchandise sales. He's not just a player, he's a business. In the NFL, rookies earn respect through consistency, not a single hot streak. But in Cleveland, it's already clear. Shedeur Sanders has begun to win over the locker room. And this story, it's only getting started. The quarterback conversation didn't just take shape on the practice field, it began to crystallize in the owner's box. Jimmy Haslam, notorious for his hands-on and often polarizing involvement in team affairs, reportedly developed a sudden fascination with Shedeur Sanders after witnessing his Day 7 breakout. Sources inside the organization claim Haslam spent late nights poring over practice footage, zeroing in on Sanders' rapid-fire decision-making and unshakable composure under duress. Then came the comment that detonated across the franchise. Speaking casually to a small cluster of reporters, Haslam dropped a line that carried far more weight than its delivery suggested. When you see a young guy process that fast, you've got to at least start thinking about the future, sooner rather than later. One sentence and the building felt the aftershock. Was this the owner subtly steering the coaching staff toward a legitimate quarterback competition, or just an offhand remark inflated by speculation? For Shedeur, it didn't matter. The message was undeniable. He wasn't just catching the attention of his teammates anymore. The highest seed in the organization was watching him now, and that changed everything. The pressure wasn't just coming from edge rushers anymore, it was coming from every corner. The locker room, the coaching offices, and the press box. Inside team walls, veterans quietly debated whether the rookie's meteoric rise was exactly what the Browns needed, or a potential powder keg in a quarterback room that was supposed to be settled. Some admired his swagger and supreme confidence. Others feared it could fracture the balance they'd built. The coaching staff found themselves in a precarious position. Publicly, they insisted the depth chart was unchanged. Privately, they dissected every snap on film, frame by frame, hunting for proof that Sanders' surge wasn't just a flash in the pan. Meanwhile, social media lit up like wildfire. Clips of Sanders threading impossibly tight window throws went viral in minutes, feeding fan debates and igniting speculation that the Browns had stumbled into their future franchise quarterback by pure accident. In barely a week, Shedeur Sanders had gone from intriguing rookie to the most discussed player in Cleveland. And the noise wasn't fading. Then came the moment of truth. A full contact scrimmage against Cleveland's first-team defense. A Pro Bowl-stacked unit headlined by the relentless Myles Garrett. No restricted reps, no watered-down drills. This was live fire, the closest thing to an NFL game without a scoreboard. Coaches watched with surgical focus. The owner was in the stands, and the veteran Sanders was trying to win over stood ready to see if his confidence could survive the heat. The whistle blew, and the rookie didn't just survive, he seized control. On the opening drive, Garrett burst through the line in trademark fashion. Most rookies would have folded. Sanders slid, rolled left, and zipped a 20-yard strike into tight coverage. First down, the sideline erupted. Snap after snap, he dismantled one of the league's most fearsome defenses. Precision timing routes, lasers over the middle, even a deep ball that left the safety shaking his head in disbelief. Blitzes came from both edges, and still, his composure never wavered. By the scrimmage's end, Sanders had stacked multiple scoring drives and earned something no rookie contract could buy and respect. Veterans who'd been skeptical sought him out for daps. Coaches huddled, trading knowing glances that said, "We might have a problem," or a solution. The critics who labeled him overhyped? Silent. Now the Browns front office stares down a decision that could define or derail the franchise. On paper, Deshaun Watson is the untouchable investment. The contract, the guarantees, the public commitment. But on the field, Sanders is making it impossible to ignore what's unfolding. He's flat out outperforming the veteran. Pull the trigger too soon, and you risk detonating team chemistry, alienating your highest paid player, and sending shockwaves through the locker room. Wait too long, and you might squander the momentum of a rookie who clearly has it right now. The fan base is already split. Half demand the Browns ride the hot hand, finally betting on upside instead of clinging to sunk costs. The other half warns that benching Watson this early would be organizational chaos, proof they abandoned plans at the first sign of friction. Either way, there's no going back. If Sanders starts and wins, the future arrives ahead of schedule. If they keep him on the bench, every loss will amplify the calls for change. Time is the one luxury they don't have. Every pass Sanders completes, every drive he commands, turns whispers into chants. In Cleveland, a city starving for a football savior, momentum doesn't fade. It explodes. Thank you guys, see you next video.